I have this lecture series done by Alan Watts. It's in black and white. It was a collaboration with him, put out by the Electronic University, a television station in San Francisco in the late 60s, early 70s. And he would have a large paper tablet, and he would use a brush, and he'd draw with calligraphy while he was explaining his ideas. And one of the topics that he got into was trying to explain the idea of nothing. The idea of there being a perfect emptiness that defined the edges or the surfaces of a thing. And as far as down as we can grasp with our mathematics, because once you get to a certain level of beyond perceptibility, beyond visual perceptibility, you have to define it mathematically. And if the math works in practice, if you can apply it in it and you get a result that you can predict, then your math is right. So the theories always hold if they can be applied and put to tested using the mathematics. And as far down to the micro subatomic, we only can use the mathematics. But the idea of there being nothing there, of there being no thing, of there just being an emptiness, but the three-dimensional space in and of itself, 3D space, up and down, right and left, forward and backward, and all of the other directions in between, including outer and inner, all at right angles to each other, those directions are a thing in itself. So the three-dimensional space, the 3D grid space that we're in, that everything is in, that is a thing. That's everything is embedded in. That defines without that, there is no definition of the thing. So there really is no empty void. If you think back and back and back and back and back and further and further and further from the very, 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 very beginning of where everything began, that 3D space began had a beginning also. In chorus, it began in unison with the stuff. So the energy was became the stuff emerged out of the energy. It was just it got colder and colder and colder, and then everything the first stuff froze out of that cooling off process, which is today all of the matter. All the matter is just the frozen energy. It's just energy in a slowed down state. From the very 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 beginning, it was very 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 hot. And the further back in time you go, the hotter it gets. Then the less the more immature the atoms were. So even before there was an atom, there was the components that make up the atom that were free electrons, free photons, and those themselves, as the time went on, they froze into atoms. So the subatomic particles cooled off and formed into atoms, and then those atoms eventually formed and coalesced and formed stars, and the stars went through different cycles and formed the other elements. And even the 3D space that all of the elements are embedded in or immersed in, that 3D space began at that point also. Which is very, 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 very strange if you really think about it. That even the emptiness, even that void that you think of as being a gap of the area in between, was in itself a thing that had a beginning.